Magus, web novel, Chapter 540, Master Plan Part 4. As for Yasmo, he went from a two-eyed Balor to a six-eyed one. The change made him physically weaker than before, but the raw power of each one of his spells is unparalleled. Fuck it, I need some fresh air, Lith said as he opened a warp steps which led as far from the lab as he could manage. Even if somehow someone followed him, they would be so weak that he could pulverize them in the blink of an eye. Ratpack, the human seems to be a little touchy. Are you sure he is the strongest, smartest, bravest champion you could find? Zolgrish asked. Of course, master. What makes you so sure about it? He only survivor, all others died, so he best one, Ratpack said. Zolgrish slapped Ratpax on the back of his head, wondering if Lamb would ever return. While the Lich was cursing the gods for giving him Ratpack, Lith took out his army communicator the moment the warp steps closed behind him and called his handler. I've disposed of the next unit of monsters. Jamble is safe for now, but I've got bad news. The dungeon has turned out to be the abandoned lab of an ancient mage. It's not just their numbers that are a problem, but also the fact that some of them are mutated. Mutated how? Camilla asked. That word reminded her of the past monster outbreaks, making her worry. They are not like the wargs, Lith replied, almost reading her mind. Their behavior is like I expected it to be, only their abilities are boosted. Either it's selective breeding or magical enhancement of sorts, I don't know. The situation is very volatile. There are two dungeon masters, not just one. An ogre shaman and a Balor. Lith could almost hear Camilla flinching on the other side of the conversation. Lith was reporting nearly the truth, sticking to what Lord Wyalon had already reported. Is there really a Balor? Camilla asked. More than one. Lith took out Trouble's body as proof. What's worse, they have access to some magical tools they managed to repurpose into weapons. So far the two groups were too busy fighting among themselves, but if they get out of there, we're talking about at least 1,000 mutated monsters armed to the teeth. What's your plan? The more Camilla heard, the more worried she became. Why the heck did I start an argument about his past? I don't want our last conversation to be a stupid quarrel, she thought. The complex has no ray-blocking dimensional magic, so I can get in and out of it fast. My plan is to create a distraction and kill the two leaders. If I manage to cut off the head of the snake, the rioting caused by the power vacuum should do the rest. I know I can do it, but I want you to keep a group of wardens on standby. If you don't hear from me within a few hours, send them to these coordinates and have them bring the whole complex down. Lith then confirmed the position of the entrances Baron Wyalon had found to her and explained the nature of the arrays surrounding the place, making the wardens' work much easier. Better warden, and there wasn't a frigging lich involved, I could do it myself. This way when everything starts collapsing, Zolgrish will have no reason to suspect me. Copy that, Ranger Verhan. Please, remember that you can always pull out and wait for reinforcements. Camilla's hologram appeared suddenly. Her voice was professional and detached as always, but her eyes contained a desperate plea. I wish I could. That part at least was true. There's a big snowstorm incoming. If we don't settle this now, Jamble and its citizens will be completely isolated for days. Bad weather is nothing to an orc shaman. The monsters would slaughter them like lambs. Or rather, I can't live with a lich breathing down my neck for the destruction of his lab. He actually thought. Copy that, Camilla said. Before the hologram could completely disappear, Lith's civilian amulet pulled at his consciousness. Are you insane calling me from work? Your supervisor will flay you for that. Who cares? Are you alright? You have never called for backup before, not even for the Black Star. Be honest with me, how bad is it? She said. Damn it, now I understand why on Earth relationship in the workplace were frowned upon. Lying to my handler is one thing, doing it to my fear-stricken girlfriend is another. Lith thought. Pretty bad. Don't worry, though. If shit hits the ceiling, I'll warp out of there in the blink of an eye. Even a vengeful lich was better than a dead ranger. Please, be safe. Call me as soon as you're done with the mission, no matter the hour, okay? Lith nodded, knowing that no words could reassure her. He closed the call and warped back to Zolgrish. Did you have any brilliant ideas during your stroll? The lich sneered. Actually yes. Why don't we take a few weapons from your armory to make our lives easier? Lith asked. Because if I imprint them with my mana, Danka and Yasmo could use them too if they get their hands on them. I don't trust Ratpack to use anything more dangerous than a broom, and whatever you imprint I would have no way to get back. Unless I were to kill you, of course. What if you consider it the rest of my payment? Lith couldn't refute that logic, but he could propose an alternative. And what would prevent you from abandoning me here? Maybe even taking a few souvenirs? It's not like I could stop you even if I wanted. I prefer to keep you motivated, Nolan. As Lith had predicted, they found little surveillance on the road to the 4th floor, where the device was located. Unfortunately, it was because most of the guards had been recalled to right in front of the lab's door. The orc shaman and the Balor hated each other, but they knew that if their former master were to regain his powers, he would turn their eternal lives into a living hell. Lith, Zolgrish, and Ratpack were stuck near the stairway leading from the 5th to the 4th underground floor. How does your minions' resurrection process work? I need to know if fighting them is worth the effort or if it would just be a waste of time and mana. Lith said. It works just like mine, Zolgrish replied. His condescending tone showed once again how the lich considered such information to be common sense. If my body gets completely destroyed, it takes me between 1 and 3 days to be regenerated near my phylactery back to my peak condition. The stronger one is, the longer it takes the phylactery to store enough word energy. It shouldn't take it more than a few minutes to restore those weaklings. Yet remember that if you don't destroy their bodies, they will remain corpses for a couple of hours. That's the optimal time required to field dress and consume them. It should be more than enough to get in and shut down the device. You're worrying for nothing. I don't think so. We don't know who's inside the lab.